The fourth episode of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is probably my favorite episode of the series so far, if only because it's probably the most serious of the episodes that we've seen so far, by which I mean the gravity of the situation that Dunk finds himself in is far more serious than anything he's had to face up until this point in the season, and the episode is pretty straightforward because of that. There is one moment of comedy that does undercut the drama as it is unfolding, which I saw coming from a million miles away, but thankfully the seriousness does return with a pretty awesome and epic moment near the end of the episode, which was great. So it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would, given how that scene was immediately followed with a more dramatic and serious moment. So this episode finds Dunk needing to face the consequences of attacking Prince Aerion in the last episode, where he faces the Targaryens and they must pass judgment on him. Prince Baelor gives him the idea to request a trial by combat. That way he won't be simply executed. But then Aerion requests a trial by 7, which is an interesting spin on the trial by combat concept that we have yet to see in this show, or in this universe. And it is a fun and clever twist, I believe, because I think it's clear to everyone in this scene, including Aerion himself, that he probably would not be able to take Dunk in one-on-one combat. So Dunk has to somehow find 6 other people that are willing to fight with him, which is a struggle since Dunk is something of a loner, which is honestly very relatable because I definitely would not be able to find 6 people to fight on behalf of my own honor. Luckily, Dunk has made some friends over the course of the show, some of whom are willing to fight on his behalf. Of course, Egg does come to help him and find some people to fight for him, and it's really nice to see that though Dunk did initially feel betrayed and really hurt from Egg's initial lie, that the two of them do seem to be on good terms now. Dunk understands that Egg is a good boy, he does mean well, he didn't ask to find himself in the situation where his brothers are assholes. I mean, he even admits to Aerion having thrown his cat down a well. That's probably worse than what he actually did to the puppet actress. So yeah, he's a douche, and I'm rooting for Dunk to come out on top on this one. Of course, Darren does reveal to Dunk that he had a dream about him, and I don't know if Darren has special magical powers of any kind, but for him to say that his dreams do come true, I think pretty much confirms that Dunk will come out on top in this trial, even though we probably could have expected that anyway, given just how story structure works. But yeah, the best part of the episode is easily at the end when Dunk is desperate to find one more person. He's yelling at the crowd, saying, "Is there no one else? Is there no honor left among the people of Westeros?" And Baelor comes to his aid, which is really nice. I like Baelor as a character. He's clearly a good guy. I don't know what that means, since I've never read the Hedge Knight novella, so it'll be interesting to see Targaryen versus Targaryen here. I mean, I'm also rooting for Baelor to end up alive at the end of this little trial, but since this is Game of Thrones, and since Dunk will most likely survive this trial, I don't know what that means for everyone else on his team. I'm sure he'll have to deal with facing some sort of loss, whether that's with Prince Baelor, or Sir Lionel Baratheon, or the squire that he just turned into a knight. Also, it's interesting to note that Dunk hesitated in turning him into a knight, and that was immediately followed up with Dunk looking up at Sir Arlen through a flashback, where instead of actually seeing his being knighted, we just see Sir Arlen shrugging. I don't know what that means, but I think it's clear that the show may be suggesting that Dunk isn't actually a knight. He is just so desperate to be one that he's basically acting like he is one. But I don't know. A true knight stands up for the lives of the innocent, and I think Dunk has proven to be a true knight over the course of the show. Now he just has to prove how good of a fighter he actually is, so this will probably act as his first true test as a knight, and hopefully that new shield of his will really hold up. I certainly hope that it does. So yeah, I absolutely loved this episode, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the trial will go down in the next episode. Hopefully, since there are only 2 episodes left in the season, they will both feel as serious and dramatic as this one did, because yeah, I just loved how the stakes felt higher in this episode, how the tone felt a little bit more grounded and serious, especially with the music. We finally get to hear the proper Game of Thrones theme being played instead of being shat on. I feel like I was desperately missing that theme song in the first few episodes, and so I was really glad to hear it here. I understand why you wouldn't use it in the first few episodes, especially given how the story is far more smaller in scale and scope. It's not as big and as grand as Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, but that song really helped in transporting me into the world of Westeros, so I was personally sorely missing it over the past few weeks, and I was definitely glad to hear it here, and I hope we hear it again in the next 2 episodes. So yeah, I absolutely love this episode, and it sucks that we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to see the next episode, since this one came out on Friday to avoid competing with the Super Bowl, and we won't be getting the next episode until next Sunday. So the wait will be a little longer, but hopefully it'll be worth it. Regardless, be sure to let me know what you thought of this episode, and as always, thanks for watching.